Hi folks, and welcome back to Quarantine According to Eddie. It's a beautiful evening, about, 8:15 on Thursday the 16th of April. It's been kind of a bittersweet moment the last 15 minutes, because we've had all the cheering for the NHS workers, which is great, particularly as my wife's off to do a shift at the hospital, night shift. And that's been lovely. It's been a beautiful day, it's a beautiful evening, but it's also been announced that there's going to be at least 3 more weeks of lockdown, if not longer. And I know that people have sort of said, well, in the 40s people had to deal with this, that and the other, and all you've got to do is stay in your home. It's not that simple, is it? And, you know, it is becoming more and more clear that the mental health aspect and the pressures that are putting a strain on people are very real, and are quite difficult to deal with. And I did my best to anticipate these as much as possible, but the one thing I didn't really anticipate, or at least didn't think about, was the feeling of guilt. Because I do feel it. I feel a lot of guilt, among other sort of stresses and strains that I'm sure all of us are feeling. It's guilt that I didn't expect. And I guess it's because I'm sat here in my home, relatively comfortable. I've got a garden and a garage, and my nearest and dearest are out there, and they are struggling. Some of them, well, more than others, some more than others. And here I am in comfort, and there's nothing I can do for them. And I know that people say you can call them, you can video chat with them. Yeah, it's all very well and good in theory, but you don't know some of the people who are close to me. You know, occasionally I get a message if I send one, but I could be waiting days. All the time. You know, and I can't call them. I can't video chat with them. And I feel guilt because my natural response is to get out there, hit the road and go and see them. Because that's what I would always do. Go fix things for them. Go deliver stuff to them, just spend time with them. I can't do that. It's not my fault. I'm not to blame. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So why do I feel guilty? There are lots of conceptions about guilt, because it is a strange thing. There's one thing that you can't deny, and that's that people do feel guilt, and everyone feels guilt at some point. And, well, I think unless you're psychopathic anyway. But anyway, but guilt is something that can be felt either because you deserve it or even when you don't. And, you know, you could look at it from a kind of psychological perspective of that it's there as some kind of way of telling you that what you're doing is right and wrong, but sometimes it goes wrong. I mean, we have that. I mean, that's how sort of anxieties develop. You know, that's our instincts kind of going wrong. And the processes that are there to warn us of predators and such are overactive. You know, almost like sort of an allergy response, autoimmune response. So, you know, you could look at guilt in that sense, but then does that undermine the fact that actually it can be a very good moral tool as well? In that, you know, if you do something wrong and you get this moral feeling, you know, guilt can be a very useful thing, and maybe the psychological side suggesting that it's all part of instinct kind of undermines that aspect, because guilt can be rationalised as well. But if guilt is supposed to be entirely rational, why is it that we get irrational guilt responses as well to things that we can't control, can't do anything about? Survivor's guilt is an absolute classic one of those, where people feel guilty for surviving freak accidents when others died. That can't be helped, but people still feel guilt for it. I mean, you could look at it from more of a moralistic point of view as well, even a religious point of view. The idea that we've been given guilt as part of our set of moral tools to help us to understand what's right and what's wrong, to direct us away from the bad and towards the good. I know that Thomas Aquinas mentioned that a fair bit, but there are plenty of other theologians who've suggested that. But again, that doesn't explain this sort of mispurposing of guilt within our own heads, where we end up feeling guilty for things that we shouldn't do. I mean, even Thomas Aquinas himself said, you know, that here are the things that you should feel like you should feel guilty for and that you should be blamed for, and here are the things that you shouldn't be blamed for and therefore shouldn't feel guilt. But it doesn't change the fact you feel it. It's a really strange one. How do you get around it? Because it's not rational. I think one of the big challenges over the next few weeks is going to be dealing with those irrational aspects and sort of reconciling that irrationality, and that we are going to feel bad, but we are doing the right thing, but that we just have to keep pushing through it. So what are your thoughts around guilt? Leave me any comments or ask me any questions if you want to. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Be kind to yourselves. Stay safe. And I'll see you next time.